Hello, Crazy St. Patrick here, and I'm here to talk today about Ontario News Now, the new press secretary organ of the Doug Ford government of Ontario. Now, frankly, I do not agree with this. I think this is a bad election strategy. I think it resembles too much of the Soviet Union. I think all this kind of stuff, yes, it does get the news out there, and he tries to spin it, but it looks like you're trying to hide something, and Doug Ford isn't, no matter what his critics say. However, that being said, the media is trying to portray this as partisan advertising. However, what Doug Ford is doing is not partisan advertising. It is getting what he's doing out to the people, which is completely fine. It is within the caucus budget, and that is what's within the realms of the Legislative Ontario Act, which gives these official parties money to spend on the leader's office and all that kind of stuff. So don't think of this as bravada, as some people think of it. Think of it as Sarah Huckabee Sanders trying to tell the people what's happening. And let's be honest, people like us, people who are, not working class, who kind of follow politics, we can watch these 20-minute press conferences that Doug Ford is still having. We can watch them, be entertained, and it's fine. This is for the people who have two jobs, people who work 60 hours a week, people who have 2-3 kids, busy life, and who are disengaged in politics. These videos help them understand what the premier is doing for them, because they're short 2-minute videos. They can watch it in between a commercial. Instead of watching a commercial when watching the baseball game, yeah, Jay sucked this year, but you can watch a 2-minute video of what the premier is doing for you. So pretty much, there's some benefits in this, but the media is doing this well proportioned. Let's take a look at some, So I go on Facebook and I type in Ontario News Now, thinking the first thing pop up would be this new page. However, it is not. It's been up there for about 3 or 4 days now. It has a couple videos, has thousands of traffic, so it should show up on my search feeds, but it doesn't. This is what shows up. Jason Kenney, CHRY News Now, St. Clair College, Anti-Dogfighting Campaign, CBC Doc, Shop Local Now, CV Vancouver, all that kind of stuff. So is Facebook shadow banning Ontario News Now, or just an algorithm issue? I don't know how this works. It might not. Don't ask me. But if I can't find a high traffic Facebook page when I search the exact title of that page, there's a problem. However, what I can find, scroll down articles, one by Daily Hive thing, then there's a petition. Sign the petition. Justin Trudeau, shut down Ontario's New Now. I'm going to click the position, see what happens. Today, Kate is counting on you. Join Kate in 69 Sports. So it only has 70 signatures, and it wants to get to 100. Okay, let's see what this petition says. Doug Ford has created a news media outlet that is funded by taxpayer dollars. True journalism has the responsibility to present unbiased facts for the public, remaining both highly critical and ethically conscious of events that have transpired. In violation of Section 12 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Ford and his staff is providing unusual treatment to Ontario residents and citizens, veiled as real news by offering them a constant praise Ford's work as premier with no objective criticism or real reporting. You're trying to bring in the Section 12 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Well, let's look at what this charter actually says, not what you're trying to make up. Section 12 of the charter states, everyone has a right not to be subjected to any cruel and unusual treatment or punishment. You're trying to apply this to government of the day paying 2 staffers to prepare news videos to release to the public, and you're subjecting the watchers to cruel and unusual punishment? Give me a break. This right is used for long sentences and unusual punishment, like the death penalty or, minimum sentences, all kind of stuff. And you're trying to belittle that right, try to advance your own political agenda? Please, let's continue reading this, shall we? This unabashed dictatorship-like action undermines the right of Ontarians to a democratic government and balanced news. Other nations that provide state-controlled media outlets to its citizens include North Korea, China, and Iran, some of the top jailers of journalists in the world. You know what also provides state-controlled media outlets? Canada and CBC. Come on, guys, get your facts straight. By signing the petition, you are demanding the federal government can disallow the funding on Operation Ontario News Now. Well, you obviously don't know how government works, because they cannot do that. This is an Ontario Act. Ontario has tax generation powers that are divvied up by the federal government. We can collect our own tax, we collect our own income tax, all kind of stuff, because what happened in 1940 and 50, especially with the Quebec Premier Duplessis, how he fought for provinces to collect their own income tax and have their own, pretty much act like states in America and bring more American-style federalist system, which Canada desperately needs, because the federalist system we have now is like Britain, which is just controlling the entire country and does not allow the people to correctly adequate their funds properly. No, I'm not signing the petition. Okay, let's see the reasons for signing. This blatant attempt to manipulate people and insulting it, undemocratic. Okay, how does it insult people and how is it undemocratic? It is literally appropriating 2 staff members who are already working on the press secretary for Ford and a couple cameras and a mic that we already have. This is not undemocratic. People can vote on this. People don't vote on CBC. We didn't even vote on CBC. People passed on CBC. They just made it because they wanted to control propaganda, especially during the war, and during the Great Depression. I don't understand. We do not need propaganda to waste our tax dollars. Doug Ford is choking every revenue stream. First of all, choking every revenue stream, what that means is lowering income tax, getting rid of cap and trade. We're promising no carbon tax, lowering the beer tax, which she promised with bucket beer, and all that kind of stuff. It does not get rid of revenue streams. What it does, because of the Laffer curve, is maximizes our tax revenues and our tax collection. Right now, we have an overburdensome tax. When we lower the tax, it'll create more incentives. The economy will increase, and we'll collect more taxes because of the increased economy. We need to try to find the maximal tax collecting point, and right now, we overshot it. So we need to scale back taxes, unleash our business, and make Ontario open for business again. Okay, I'm on the Facebook page of Ontario News Now. I've been finally able to find it because my friend shared it, and they watch it and they comment on it, so I can find it that way. So there's 2 videos on it. There's one of Environment Minister Rob Phillips talking about zero carbon tax, about almost 10,000 views, 247 comments. There's another one that talks about what Premier Ford did in the past month in office, which is a good recap. It looks like it's only going to be a minute long, which is a great timeline. So let's take a look at the comments. 538 comments. I'm guessing it's all going to be hateful. Let's take a look. Okay, so the top comment as of Saturday, August 4th is, the Ontario government has scrapped the basic income pilot project, limiting welfare increases to 1.5% instead of 3% promise in the Liberals' pre-election budget. Take it from the poor and give to the rich, exactly what I expect from Doug Ford government. What? Okay, so he cut the basic income project, which was, if anyone doesn't know about the basic income project, what it's supposed to be is you take away all the social services, welfare, healthcare, disability, all kind of stuff, you give everyone a check. So this project, what they didn't do is get rid of the welfare service, get rid of the social services, get rid of the healthcare, but they gave them a check. So pretty much, this is it was not an accurate test, and it should have been cancelled because, frankly, it's just wasting our money, and it's not even testing that. The second comment: stop the state-sponsored propaganda. Answer the real question for real journalists. Disgusting. You are a premier. He spelled premier wrong. Stop pretending to be a tin pot dictator. So you just pretty much imply that he's a dictator with state-sponsored propaganda, not answering real journalists. Then you pretty much admitted that you were wrong and that he was only pretending to be a dictator, not an actual dictator. Well, you can find other comments that he's a dictator. But, let's be honest. He's still answering real questions from real journalists. He still has these press conferences. What this is a 1-minute clip that he can put online and have the working people, people who propel them in power, take a look at that, because they're not going to watch 20-minute press conferences. They have felt disgusted, betrayed, and they don't trust the media anymore. This tells them what the government is doing and keeps them engaged, because an engaged society thrives. Okay, now let's as a taxpayer, I feel utterly disgusted, disrespected. My tax dollars should be going to healthcare, education, infrastructure, not to soothe your ego, Mr. Ford. Well, let's be honest. Let's look at this. This has cost probably 2 staff members, some equipment that they already have, that are already working. This is not their main job. These guys are working in the communications office, the press secretary office. You feel disrespected about Mr. Ford doing this? Okay, how about let's take a look at how much money Kathleen Wynne and the Ontario Liberals spent on their non-partisan, air quotes, advertising. They talk about climate change, infrastructure, and all that kind of stuff that was pretty much used to try to buy the election. Same thing that they accused Harper of doing, which Harper did do. I'll be honest. Now let's look at how much money they actually spent. $5.5 million advertising hydro bill cuts. So they pretty much, because everyone in Ontario knows that last election the biggest issue was hydro rates and how much they've increased because of the Green Energy Act. They spent $5.5 million advertising they're going to give a reduction in the first year, completely ignoring the fact that the next 3 or 4 years it's going to increase because they're borrowing money they don't have to spend for programs they can't fulfill that can help the poor, the working class, the average family. Well, let's see. Look at the other advertisements they spent. $1.9 million on childcare spaces that the Ontario Auditor General said could be possible partisan or political. $5.6 million on not 1 but 2 climate change campaigns. Oh, they also spent money on education ads to tell a program that was not available, as in the Ontario Student Grant and OSAP. Don't know how, they didn't really send how much money they spent on this, but we're gonna safely assume they spend money when the program was not active. The year before that, they spent $2.95 million to promote $160 billion investment in infrastructure. They also spent $2.88 million on these stupid commercials that says, when Ontario students realize their full potential, they're ready to take it out tomorrow. Nobody's watching that. Maybe some parents. These parents, all the kids have already moved to college. The people watching that are old people. $5.2 million in digital advertising, telling them how they've increased healthcare funding by $1 billion. Yeah, that just goes to the top. It doesn't go to nurses, doesn't go to doctors. You actually cut the doctor's rate. Okay, so first of all, the Ontario, they do great work, and hopefully, if Ford does any of this kind of stuff, I want her, or him, well, it's currently her right now, to come and bring it to light, because we need a lot of auditors to make sure to keep transparency, because that's what keeps a good government, what keeps a good economy, is you have trusted accounting reporting regulation. Anyways, I'm getting too angry. Let's go back to Facebook comment where I'm going to get more angrier. This guy's comment here, I know it's meant to attack him, but, you know, I agree with him for the first half. 1 for mention the sex ad fiasco. What the one that was made by a convicted pedophile and he scrapped? Good job for it. Cutting Toronto Council in half. Oh, you mean from 47 to 25 when I think New York only has about 25 with 4 times population? Cap minimum wage of 14 hours. You mean the one that makes work illegal, and you need to cap this at $14 an hour. You get more opportunities to young people and for people with no skills to develop skills, develop experience, and they can actually make some good money in the future, like with me and my other friends that I know. Canceling the anti-scalping law, you mean the law that was attacking online scalpers like StubHub and all kind of stuff because it was cutting into the profits of Ticketmaster and these big corporations. I mean the one that I never buy from Ticketmaster, I only buy from StubHub because it's always the cheapest and you get the better seats and it's more flexible to your, like I was going to the Leafs game. And the only things I could find on Ticketmaster was the ones where 1/3 of the game was kicked, or the ones that were $500. On StubHub, I was able to find the one that was center ice. It was on it was at the top of the center ice on the third thing. So that's, you know, it's not great tickets, but I could actually see the full game, and it's an eagle-eyes view that I could only get off of StubHub. Sure, it was a bit more money, but I'm willing to pay for that because I want to watch full game, 2/3. Oh, you mean canceling the Green Ontario Fund? That was pretty much used to pay millionaires and buying the electric cars, and for big businesses to quote-unquote retrofit their companies that, you know, doesn't actually fight climate change. Basic income pilot project that I've talked about before, and he did not promise he would continue it because didn't even say it at all. It just, the media was just lying about this the entire time. He talks about that kind of stuff. Sure, I'll go with you. I don't trust you, but let's say the million making $656 a month. I don't buy that because anyone on welfare can make $1,000. Why didn't he explain that to Ontarians? We want to hear. But no, he cherry-picked a couple of feel-good people events, a non-contentious promise he's kept to show himself off as a very caring premier who keeps his promises. That's why I strongly object to the tax dollars used for parties' advertising platforms. There's a name for it. It's called propaganda. Pure and simple. But I think you're making some wrong inferences here. Like I said, if you listen to this first half, what you said, they're all good things of what I mentioned before. You know, you start reading all these comments, and they're all like sycophants that are being they're attacking for it because the media is overhyping their attack. Let's look at some articles that they put on, and I can't really see like any really funny things to look at this. Like it's like they're not really clever remarks calling him Kim Doug and stuff like that, or Doug the Slug. You know, they're not really that funny. I was expecting a lot more funnier things. Oh, there's a lot of things comparing him to Trump here. Calling him like a drug dealer. You know, let's be honest, he probably was a drug dealer. Confusing him with his brother smoking the crack. Piggy Ford. You know, and like, why are these guys so riled up? Well, let's look at some media articles and just the constant attack by third-party organizations such as Lead Now on him. They're whipping up hysteria that are mostly unfounded allegations. And this is why he kind of has to have this, because the working class people who voted into him, who wanted change, who knew they liked Ford, they're not getting the proper news that they're getting because it's going through a lot of channels that have their own, they want to protect their own big business party interests. So let's just look at some of the media articles that were written about. Okay, so the CBC article about it, I won't bore you with the top stuff because it's pretty much what we talked about already. NDP leader Andrew Horwath, which is the opposition leader, had to say that it is pretty much attacking Ford because he's getting rid of the free press. Quote, "It's our job as the opposition, but it's also the media's job, and that's what keeps our democracy functioning. So just one political party controls the news, controls what people hear, don't want to hear, but what happens in the legislature is a slippery slope into a very dangerous place." End quote. Yes, it is, but they're not controlling the media. They're just putting out fluff pieces that tell the working class people what the premier is doing. He is not banning reporters. He's still answering their questions. He's not requesting that all reporters' work goes to the office. He's not censoring them. He is just providing an alternative for the people that are not going to be wasted by writers for the Star or the CBC. The fact the government is thumbing their nose at taxpayers in Ontario and using the taxpayer dollars to undertake this partisan broadcast effort is completely wrong. I don't know about you, but like the NDP, it's been the federal election, said we're going to need $100 million for CBC because it is, unquote, non-partisan, end quote. It is partisan. Let's be honest. The conservatives they have on there are just mouthpieces they use to seem unpartisan, but, the only good conservative they have on there is Rex Murphy, and he doesn't long left on there. And they talk about the Liberal leader. I'm on Huffington Post right now, and pretty much all this article, they say the exact same thing as CBC article, same thing what people are commenting on. But I want to quickly point out a paragraph in this. This channel disrespects and misleads taxpayers. While it may be immediately clear to me as an editor in these media that these videos exist only to promote Ford's agenda, the casual Twitter or Facebook user might reasonably assume ONN is an established news network, or at least a third party. If it weren't for the government's recent announcement, Ontarians would have few reasons to suspect a relationship between ONN and Ford's PC. So, you're calling these people who watch this stupid. That's what you're doing. Because, I'm an editor, so I know what's right. No, just because you're an editor doesn't mean you know shit. The type of people who understand lies and can spot lies and call lies out are the working class, are the families, are the people who have no time to read your articles, no time to listen to 20-minute news conferences. Who are these exactly meant for? They're going to be like, yes, this is Ford propaganda. Especially since I saw her, Ford Nation Live. I saw all this kind of stuff. This is a Ford piece, and they're going to know that, and they're going to recognize that because they can snuff out lies better than any of these Laurentian elites, any of these media writers. Okay, so many people know that Press Progress is a left-wing biased, so kind of overtly pro-communist sometimes. Normally I wouldn't read the entire article because it's Press Progress and knowing the work they do. Let's read the entire article. Doug Ford's North Korean-style news broadcasts are being funded with your tax dollars. Pro-Ford's news broadcast mocks, for example, North Korean TV produced with public resources and Premier's office confirms. Well, he hasn't put his For the People song in it, so it's nothing like the North Korean TV. Doug Ford has launched a news channel that broadcasts non-stop positive stories showering him with praise and your family's paying for it. Okay, I wouldn't call it non-stop. Like, they're probably going to put up once a week. They put up two mainly because they gotta get some content out there. So, like, this is my first video, but my next video I'll probably put up within the next couple days because I want to get more content so people can come back here. At a time when Ford's government is announcing steep cuts to schools, healthcare, and assistance for the poor, running a taxpayer-funded propaganda outlet endlessly glorifying Ontario Premier might seem like a wrong priority to some. Okay, he's not cutting schools. What he cut was this $100 million slush fund that was used for quote-unquote repairs that sometimes would cost $600 to $1,000 to repair something that would cost $40 in the private sector. Healthcare. He hasn't cut healthcare. Assistance to the poor. Talk about the basic income. Let's be honest, conservatives believe in a helping hand, not a hand that feeds. On Monday, a news outlet calling Ontario News Now suddenly appear on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram as a source of timely exclusive content for the PC government priorities for the people of Ontario. The first episode of Doug TV, news presenter, it's not Doug TV, man, come on. It's Ontario News Now. First episode of Doug TV, news presenter Lindsay Vanstone takes a look back at Ford's first month in office, highlighting his appearance at several photo ops and bragging about his number of things Ford repealed. Notably, Vanstone doesn't mention repeal of sex ed curriculum, or a plan to gerrymander city's council wards, or attempt to rig Toronto's upcoming municipal elections. First of all, like I said, the sex ed curriculum was written by a convicted pedophile. Okay? First of all, let's say if it was balanced and it was consulted, which it wasn't, if it was written by that, it seeps into the culture that you have TEDx to try to promote pedophilia, calling it a sexual orientation, instead of what it is, a vile, disgusting, absolutely terrible act that someone can do to take the innocence away from a child and should be dealt with 25 to life in jail. Or to gerrymander city council wards. He's not gerrymandering. What he's doing is there's 25 provincial ridings, there's 25 federal ridings, so there's going to be 25 councillors, and he's going to cut up all the stupid talk, arguing, bickering that they have, and actually going to get stuff done that are going to actually help the poor with delivering transit, delivering affordable housing, delivering to the people's needs. The outlet's social media accounts provide no indication of who produces the videos onto any government website, even though the Premier's office admits that videos are produced with taxpayers' money. Remember, PC caucus money, and anyone with a half a brain knows that Lindsay Van Stone was in the Ford campaign, and she's conservative. Like, there's no way of putting out. The Office of the Premier of Ontario confirmed to Press Progress that pro-Ford news channel is being produced with public resources through an arm of the Canadian Ontario Legislative Assembly. Yes, because they are within the right to do that and falls within the Act. Since June, Van Stone has done herself as LinkedIn as a senior communications advisor in the Office of the Premier of Ontario. Yes, that's her job. The Premier's office denied employing Van Stone directly, indicating she is actually an employee of a different taxpayer-funded arm of the Ontario Legislative Assembly called PC Caucus Services. Maybe she hasn't updated her LinkedIn yet. Like, that could be a reason. Press Progress reached out to Ontario's News Now's news presenter for comment. A short while later, Vanessa Van Stone's LinkedIn profile was edited to indicate her position in Deputy Director of Communications for PC Caucus Services. Oh, so she updated it. Thanks, Press Progress, for reminding her to update her LinkedIn profile. That, we all have to remember to do this sometime, and I haven't updated for 6 months. Neither Van Stone nor PC Caucus Services replied to questions from Press Progress requesting clarification about Van Stone's job description and official duties. And I got a picture of LinkedIn. Following the spring election, former campaign manager Corey Tanaki suggested Conservatives must create their own forms and voice in digital spaces due to the lack of success in social media. Well, of course he's going to suggest that. He was probably the one behind 24/7, such as now, which is Stephen Harper's disastrous one. Stephen Harper's former communications director knows a thing or two about this. He used to run the now debunked Sun TV, and then he had involvement in Ezra Van's far-right rebel media. You do know, Press Progress, you are the far left's rebel media. Some will call you rebel left. While Tanaki informed I think Ontario News Now is a clever way to speak directly to supporters, others see it as a waste of tax dollars and reminiscence of the North Korean style state-run TV. And they do some Twitter stuff. Yeah. This is reporting nowadays just on Twitter. Like, it's pathetic. Like, I'm not a reporter. I try to be a comedian, commentator. Last July, the Ontario PCs under former leader Patrick Brown issued a press release vowing to restore the Auditor General's ability to block partisan government ads to ensure taxpayer dollars are spent wisely. This isn't an ad. And remember, I went through all this, how the Liberals spent like $10 million to promote their partisan interests and try to buy the election. Like, it was okay when Harper did it. It's not okay when Liberals do it. And Ford's not doing it because it's not okay. He now might do it in the future because governments tend to become corrupt. But he's not doing it now. And this is complete shame piece that this plus all the other anti-Ford media narratives are rallying people up to make them detest the government. If you're listening, this is Crazy St. Patrick. Follow me on Twitter at Crazy St. Patrick. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more comments. And I'll probably have another video coming out within 2 or 3 days. Hopefully be a lot more funnier and not as serious as this. But, when someone attacks your democracy, when someone attacks the Premier, you have to defend them. If there's a solid ground on there to defend him. And there is solid ground. Even though I disagree with this. Anyways, have a good day.